Yeah, I got the plan, I got the fam, I got the keys, I get to work. I am the man, you know what I'm saying, so leave it to me, cause I get it first. Yeah, woo, I've been going all day, man. Same plan, can't change that. Till I'm right around, whole squad sitting back, chilling in the Maybach. Yeah, only as deep as your roots go. I don't do corny like fructose. If you got the drummer, that's word to my mama, I'll cover you up like a tombstone. I was last in my past, now you see I'm the one. They say work, never work, if you work and it's fun. We on the winning team, on top where you find us. We can do anything, non-stop till our time's up. We on the winning team, on top where you find us. We can do anything, non-stop till our time's up. We can do, ayy, we coming up from the dirt, ayy. They trying to get us to fall, ayy. I don't even gotta flex now, boy, it's only win by default, ayy. Taking off with the ring, ain't nothing left, man. We the kings, ran with the team, ran with the dream, ran with the one fan in the seats. Ayy, I pay my dues, check the receipt. Looking at you, you already peaked. Way back then. You can't follow with my tracks, man. I was last in my past, now you see I'm the one. They say work, never work, if you work and it's fun. We on the winning team, on top where you find us. We can do anything, non-stop till our time's up. We on the winning team, on top where you find us. We can do anything, non-stop till our time's up. We on the winning team, on top where you find us. We can do anything, non-stop till our time's up. We on the winning team, on top where you find us. We can do anything, non-stop till our time's up.
8 races have led up to this, and there was just one more shot before the 10 playoff drivers are decided. Live from the Windy City and the virtual Chicagoland Speedway, we welcome you to KBRN's live coverage of the 9th race in Season 3 of the iRacing Bundren Lawn Care Series. The final race of the regular season is here. There's only one chance to secure a playoff spot, and we are ready to bring you all the action. I'm Kenneth Bueno, joined alongside by hometown native himself here, Charlie Baier. And Charlie, I'd practically give you no introduction to you about this venue, considering that this is really your hometown, closest track to you whatsoever. But for these drivers here tonight, it's either a fair introduction into the playoffs or a farewell to the hopes of running for a title.
Tonight's going to be one of the most crucial races for some of these guys currently sitting outside of the playoff border. We're going to take a look at those standings in a little bit, but it's also going to be the first the races to decide your playoff standings as we get later and later into the season. As we dip into this playoffs, it's probably going to be one of the most intense races all season in deciding that. So this track is known for its presence in the NASCAR playoffs in real life, and it's going to be a crazy one today.
And since this is our final race of the regular season, it is no secret that we are certainly getting awfully close to the playoffs. But this race will be that final call for drivers on the outside looking in. Here's a look at the point standings going into tonight. This is everybody from 1st to 14th, and there are a lot of stuff to talk about within this main group. First of all, a 1-point spread between the regular season champion, which will be crowned at the end of tonight. Aiden Kirker leads by just 1 point over Blaze McKinney for the point standings lead. But if you see all the drivers highlighted from 1st to 7th in yellow, those are all the drivers that are mathematically locked into the playoffs. So no matter what happens tonight, they will find their way into the playoffs. They'll have a shot at a title in just 1 week time when we get to the Charlotte Roval. But here is where things get very spicy here, Charlie. You can see that red cutoff underneath the 10th spot of Riley Marabello. Watch this battle right here. Cole Woody, Aaron Tribble, PJ Merrill, and Josh Patterson going to be the ones mathematically locked in, or mathematically eligible to fight for that last bubble spot, with Brady Wallam, Cole Williams, and Riley Marabello being above the cutoff, but not completely safe of that bubble entirely, and could possibly be bumped out of the race for the title here tonight.
Yeah, we're going to be paying attention to that playoff bubble battle all night tonight. Cole Woody and Aaron Tribble are going to be as aggressive as they can to try to get at least a couple spots ahead, because that's going to be all it takes to get that playoff spot. But in this case, he is 12 points behind, so people like Riley and Cole have a bit of a buffer that they have to work with. But, you know, with the way these points are structured, all Cole and Riley really need to accomplish tonight is just to finish ahead of him. That's all they need, or at least they can't get a little too far ahead.
This will be the point standings talk that we'll be pretty much giving you for this entire night through. In terms of the drivers here tonight, there will be only 2 that are eligible to fight for that bubble spot, and those will be on the outside, Cole Woody and Aaron Tribble. PJ Merrill and Josh Patterson are not here tonight, therefore they are, at least with not showing here tonight, not going to be showing up to the green flag. They are automatically eliminated from contention. So Cole Woody and Aaron Tribble are going to be those 2 that are eligible to fight to get into those final 3 spots to secure themselves after the checkered flag here tonight. Or if you want a little more information about our venue here at Chicagoland Speedway and where we are in the virtual world, we'll take a look at our KBRN Track Map with images provided by Google Earth. Step into Illinois and Joliet, Illinois, as a matter of fact, and you'll find the 1.5 miler Chicagoland Speedway. 4 corners, of course, the progressive banking up to the top of the wall. Track open pretty much all the way back in about 2000 or 2001, I'd say, one of the earlier tracks to find themselves in the NASCAR side of things, especially when you compare it to such tracks like Kansas and all those tracks in terms of that genre. But Charlie, I know last season we had a big talk about this race because this was the first round of the playoffs. It wasn't a regular season race. We had an absolute fantastic finish with Blaze McKinney soaring past Hunter Johnson at the checkered flag, and that was the one that secured him into the next round. But you're talking about Chicagoland moved 1 race back, so it's not a playoff race. There's no title implications in terms of this end. This is just a regular season race. Of course, there is still a points battle, but it's not a playoff race anymore. How much is that 1 race shift going to affect the whole dynamic of this race, especially since we actually have a very different weather type here tonight?
Well, I think 1 race can really change it all, and we've seen the capabilities of this venue producing good finishes and, you know, game-changing plays in the last couple of laps. Obviously last season, if you remember correctly, it was Hunter Johnson almost coming to the white. Parker White almost had a shot to it, but then the caution came out with just 2 laps to go. Half of the field took fresh tires, and Blaise McKinney was able to make a train on the top line. So we know that this track is capable of producing those game-changing finishes and bringing people to the back to the front. And to mention, Cole Woody in that race went from the back all the way to 3rd. So, I mean, if he can just get a repeat of that, it would look really, really good for him in his playoff hopes.
Well, you can see right there the iRacing pace car right lined up at the front straightaway in the checkered line that goes all the way down to the grass, the start-finish line. There are the drivers waiting up, and it is our time to take a look at your starting grid. See every driver and your favorite driver will be starting here tonight from the Chicagoland Speedway. On the pole, once again, will be one-time race winner Parker White of the 95. Sets a 29.937, good enough for the pole. And right alongside him, fellow playoff driver, both of them locked in, Nick Miller, the number 9, will start tonight from 2nd.
The man who leads the regular season points and looking for a regular season championship with a 1-point buffer to Blaise McKinney. Aiden Kirker starts on the inside of row number 2, and to his outside, Cole Williams, one of the guys near the playoff buffer, will start 4th.
Blaise McKinney talked about the playoff buffer. He's the driver right behind, just 1 point behind Aiden Kirker. He'll start 5th behind the number 39, ironically. Right alongside him will be the number 054. Mason Thompson will start on the outside of row number 3.
Peter Kenny on the inside row of number 4. He starts 7th, and to his outside, Riley Maribel, the last car hanging on to the last playoff spot, the number 92. He starts 8th.
Keep an eye out for Cole Woody. He'll start in the outside of row number 5. In the 10th spot, Parker Collins just inside of him, the number 62. We'll take a look at the rest of the grid as we scroll through. Brady Weileman, Aiden B. Murray, and some of those drivers. Colton Zimmer making his return to the series, with Shane Mantoba to the outside, row number 7. There's Aaron Tribble, one of the drivers we'll be keeping an eye on all night for that points battle. And Glenn Bundren, who's already locked in, he'll be starting a little bit further back in the row, 16th. We have an 18-car field here tonight, and it'll end with Peter Kenny and Latham Joyner going to be the final 2 drivers in that final row. Actually, no, not Peter Kenny. Peter Kenny's up to the front of this field. I believe it is Brandon Paunetto and Latham Joyner. Those are the final 2 drivers that will find their way to the rear end of this field. Apologies for that little confusion there. But nonetheless, we are now rolling. Everybody going to find their way behind the iRacing official pace car. It'll be Miller and Parker White going to be the first 2 on the grid. And Charlie, right before we go green, I know there's a little bit just before we get to the actual green flag, but in terms of this race itself, I know we had more of a sunset tonight transition last season. Tonight we have a daytime setting where it's very hot on the track. Track is a lot slicker than it's ever been in this series, where it's had its scheduled placement. Will that pose a very tall challenge for the drivers who are trying to find their way into points? Or you think it's going to be the same regardless of whether we're under the sun or we're under the lights?
Well, I think, this race was supposed to originally be a night race, but since it changed the day, hot temperatures bring a lot more slick of a racetrack, and we're going to see a lot of these guys struggling for grip, not as much as you'd see during a night setting. It'll be a lot tougher for these guys to race as close as they can and race just inches apart because you are so loose and you're so struggling for grip. But we'll see how these drivers adapt to it. I have a faith in a lot of these guys to get it done.
Well, we'll see how they fare. We'll step out of turn number 4. Pace car will make its hard left. We're happy to have you join us here for the final regular season race of the iRacing Bundren Lawn Care Series in Season 3. White, Miller leads them to the green flag in the Windy City.
Lap 1 in the books. Parker White leads them to lap 1, but Peter Kenny all the way up to the 3rd position right now. He's fighting for a spot. Not a contender for the playoffs, but is certainly proving his speed nonetheless. To the outside of Aiden Kirker, fighting for more.
And guess what? Now that everybody is shuffled out, look who's up in a 2nd. Miller had fallen back all the way to about 5th spot on the outside in that opening start. And now McKinney found his way back to Aiden Kirker. So theoretically, if they were to finish this way tonight, the 87 would have the advantage on the tiebreaker, and those tiebreakers will result, or at least they'll fall back on the wins in the season. Of course, McKinney already has a handful. Kirker has none. So they are still battling to the inside. Practically everyone's single file for the most part. Peter Kenny's still trying to hold strong in the 39 in the back straightaway.
Yeah, and even if you're in the playoffs, even if you're a lock, it's so important to get positions, because when we enter the playoffs, all the drivers are separated by 5 points. So even if you can get a point of someone else during the regular season, you're going to have a 5-point buffer once we enter each round of the playoffs, and that can help a ton. And it's proved for some of these guys that, you know, are on the lower ranks that they weren't able to prove themselves throughout the playoffs because of that 5-point bumper, and they weren't able to advance to the next round. So it's more than important to keep fighting, even if you're locked in the playoffs.
Running on board with Nick Miller as he was finding his way back to the inside. It seems as though he has gotten that position, or is still trying to get that position over the number 35 of Peter Kenny. You can see him hanging all the way down to the apron right behind the number 39, getting a little bit of draft along the way. But as we progress through tonight, especially in these conditions, we'll see the tires wear off a lot more than usual. We've been to a good amount of 1.5 miles. We've been to a good amount of tracks where the tires can just shred so easily, and where the tire wear and tire conservation really is the key. Of course, even last week at a racing surface like Michigan, or Darlington last week, actually, at Michigan a couple weeks back, those really have to depend on the tire conservation. And oh my goodness, there was contact there up into the front between the 39 and the 87. Might have chopped the nose off just a little bit. They're 3 wide, 4 wide almost, and the turn number 1, that was very big for the defending champion.
Yeah, and that could have been detrimental to his regular season champion run. So now Aiden Kirker takes back the regular season points to lead ahead, but wow, that was a crucial save for Blazer McKinney, and a lot of the guys behind him to pick up some points or some positions.
Luckily, I believe no damage to either the 87 or the 39. The only thing that'll really be sacrificed is the track position for the 87. And you already did mention there, Charlie, that they're running for that regular season title, and you mentioned how important positioning is in the playoffs. You'd rather be at the top of the field. You'd rather be at the head of the point standings in the playoffs rather than all the way at the end and pretty much being at risk of elimination each and every round. You'd rather let that pressure go and be able to perform each and every week to make sure you're at the top, make sure you're pretty much locked in either on points, or you can win a race and be locked in from there on out. So obviously that's another strategy to take into the playoffs. Everybody's single file at the moment. Parker White still ahead by just about 0.380 seconds over Kirker, almost about half a second between the two. Parker has yet to be caught by this main pack of the draft. Everybody's single file, and so far McKinney has fallen back to the 9th spot.
Parker's done a good job leading the way so far, but a lot of the guys who started in the back are starting to make their way up front. That includes people like Latham Joyner, Aiden Murray included that in that as well. Actually, Latham Joyner is actually in the back of the field. Another car that I don't recognize, but we're looking at Cole Woody right now in that 17 car. He's one of the drivers that we're going to be watching throughout the race. And there you see right ahead of him, that's the 82 of Cole Williams, the car that he's going to be battling along with the 92. He just needs to finish 12 spots of Riley in order to get himself in a playoff spot.
And that buffer very tight, even though because of the good amount of drivers we have up here. And of course, that can all change. And Woody has performed well at certain 1.5 milers throughout this entire run and throughout his entire Bundren Lawn Care Series career. I mean, if you look back all the way at Las Vegas, where he kind of stayed back as he's 3 wide to the outside, splitting with Aaron Tribble through the middle. But he had a very strong showing at the end there at Las Vegas, where he picked up a top 5. He's also picked ahead of a top 5s at a couple other tracks. I believe Chicagoland was one of them last season, where he was able to survive in the final laps and had a very strong one to the end. I remember we had interviewed him just a couple of times in last season's events due to his finishes right there and pretty much being there at the end. So Cole Woody is one of those drivers to look for. Obviously, Aaron Tribble, who you just saw, got passed by Williams. Him and the driver right behind him, Riley Marabello, at the cusp of possibly being eliminated. Both of them, even though Marabello's ahead of the cutoff and Tribble is behind. But take a look at this large pack, about 6 cars here, with Paunetto and Dimantova leading them out to the tail end, but they're side by side, very tight.
Yeah, it's a bit dangerous for Riley Marabello to be putting himself in that situation, because even if he gets caught up in a wreck, that is going to be huge for Cole Woody's playoff chances. I see there's Glenn Bundren in the 37. Lots of blocking all the way down to the apron.
So we'll look back up front, and so far the only change for position has been for second. Nick Miller found his way around Aiden Kirker, so now he's up to the second spot. His only mission now is to try and track down the number 95 Bundren machine right in front of him, and Kirker falls back to third. Peter Kenny, though, running in the top 5. Very strong early on in these opening laps. Parker Collins, Brady Weileman in this 5th and 6th spot. So a lot of these drivers finding their way to some success in these opening runs, but at least for now, I know there's no talk of conversation in terms of the pit strategy yet, Charlie. I know we're probably maybe going to seep into that if we get green flag racing all the way throughout, but is it going to be coming into your mind at this point of the run where everybody's single file, you have a good amount of clean racing for the most part, and you can kind of put it in your head, okay, I'll probably predict a long green flag run, and then I can probably focus on the strategy, take part of my notes, and see what I can do here.
Yeah, I think we've really gotten past the chaotic part of these runs. Everyone, and that being, you know, everyone's on fresh tires, everyone's making such aggressive moves, but now everyone's trying to get settled in, everyone's trying to prepare for a long green flag run, and I think that's really when we can bring green flag pit stops into the conversation for some of these guys. So I think, you know, these guys have been looking pretty clean so far, and I think we can get to that point eventually.
And we'll just have to see, and we'll also keep note on just how Blaze McKinney is able to rebound from that small incident. Obviously, no damage. I think there is a little crinkle there on the left rear from the contact from the 983, or the 39 rather. That, yeah, you can see the little crinkle there on the quarter panel right there near the Flying Arrows logo. And this is a new scheme for Blaze McKinney. Hadn't seen him run this all season. You're usually accustomed to seeing the white, blue, and bright yellow, especially on the number side, where you can kind of easily identify where that 87 is on the track due to the brightness of his number. This time rolling a lot more black on the scheme. I remember joking with Blaze McKinney just a little bit earlier when I saw this scheme, called it the ice edition of the car. I think probably a fitting name for what the scheme is. At least McKinney could be running that one through the playoffs, so obviously we'll try to find out whether that is the case. However, it is still about 5 cars in this little group. Cole Williams surprisingly is tagged on to 12, as Woody is just trying to carve his way to the field and get every point he can.
He's made a little bit of progress now. He started, actually not much progress. He started in the 10th position, and he's currently 11th, but just a couple positions ahead of Riley Maribel. And as some of these drivers are going to start to exit the race pretty early, that's not really what Cole Woody wants to see. But it's starting to get to the point where they kind of have to finish on opposite sides of the field in order for Cole Woody to even have a chance of making this playoffs. So I would say it's looking pretty good for the 82 and the 92.
Well, it is not looking good, though, for the 84 of Aaron Tribble. He's at the tail end of this field. Well, we had 21 drivers into this race, but there are already 3 out at the beginning of this race. Latham Joyner being one of those, Colton Zimmer being another, and the driver who didn't even start this race at the drop of the green flag, Mark Frimpong, being the final driver who, I believe, planned to register, however, was not able to make it to the grid. So Tribble in quite possibly the worst spot, theoretically, out of everyone in this field, especially with his hopes of trying to get into the playoffs. However, it's still a long race. Still got a long way to go. There's still a lot to be said and written down before we close the book here at Chicagoland Speedway. So we'll see. And there's actually more contact up ahead. Mitch Hobbs got into Parker Collins in the 062. He got into the outside wall. But luckily, no harm, no foul. At least a harm for the 062, but no caution on the racetrack.
Yeah, it's not good for his run. That was a very, very hard hit for that outside wall. That's enough too. And we got another car run. That's Riley Maribello. He saves it though.
Oh, goodness gracious. Very, very close for Maribello, as the 062 was merging back on the track at quite possibly the worst time. And then you saw Maribello get a little bit loose, just trying to save. He almost got contact, I believe, with Jonathan Jones along the way. So that could have been very detrimental, and already losing spots. Maribello to the inside. Bundren now comes by. Paunetto will look to the inside. Maribello also one of those spots. He's now just within range of Aaron Tribble. They're both all the way to the back. Collins down pit road. What looked like a strong one early on probably isn't going to last. So White continues to lead this race at lap number 21 of 100. Have yet to see a yellow flag, although we've been very close. Countless of times already. But with that first incident, Blaze McKinney almost there with Parker Collins just a little bit earlier. The gap still at about almost a second by. It was a 9/10 of a second. We'll see as they cross the line where that shakes out, 0.950. So it is slowly, steadily increasing for the 95 of Parker White. And mind you, Parker White, we talked about last week, Charlie, at Darlington. I know that it was quite possibly one of the more unpredictable races we expected throughout the season, because in the halfway portion of this race, even at the 75% mark of this race, we pretty much had Parker White winning the event. We had Parker White winning that oval race and obviously checking that box in terms of having an oval win. But then all of a sudden, going into the final pit cycle of the race, trying to slide down a pit road, I guess hard on the brakes, and then got into the pit road attenuator barrels. And that ended his night for good. I believe he did rebound for a top 10, but certainly wasn't even close comparative to where he was at that time. And right now we're seeing another early dominant performance for the Bundren machine.
Parker has proven himself many times, and we've seen it so many times in the KBueno Racing Network, in the iRacing Bundren Lawn Care Series, although RC Cup Series, that Parker White is a very skilled driver. But unfortunately, he doesn't really have the wins to prove it in the iRacing Bundren Lawn Care Series, as he's struggled and clawed for wins for so long, and it seems to just not go his way. But I mean, it's looking pretty good for him now, and I think that if we do end up going green, which is honestly starting to get more likely with how spread out these guys are getting, I think it could be possible that he can take another one home today.
And of course, Parker White, one of those drivers who's in the same camp as Brody Garner, like we mentioned last week. We talked about it a couple of times, where Brody Garner had that road win at the Charlotte Oval last season, but he had yet to find an oval win somewhere in there. And obviously he was very close at Talladega, Daytona this season. And then finally at Darlington, got the win there and checked that box off at the oval. So at least he has both disciplines knocked down in terms of wins. Parker White kind of on that same path, won at the Daytona road course by a large margin, was easily the most dominant car that day. Took the win, took the checkered flag. It was his first win in the Bundren Lawn Care Series career for him. And now still on the charge to try and get that checkered flag on an oval this season. Looking back at Blaze McKinney, he's kind of gapped himself from Aiden Murray a little bit further back behind, but there is sort of a decent gap between himself and the number 51 of Weileman. Kind of a three-car train here as Mitch Hobbs, Peter Kenny, and these two, we haven't seen them much throughout this season. We've seen them a couple of times, and they've had some bad luck, but now 4th and 5th right now in this early run. Lap number 26 doing fairly well for themselves.
Yeah, it's good to see them both running near in the top. Yeah, they're both in the top 5. So, yeah, I think Peter Kenny and Mitch Hobbs, you know, they haven't raced with us very much, but, you know, it's cool to see them show up and have a good run. Actually, Mitch Hobbs almost had a top 5 run last season at Chicago, but got turned coming to the lines. So I think, you know, they're definitely capable of putting together these good runs.
The battle a little bit further back into the field. This is the battle for 8th between the 054 of Mason Thompson and his Chevrolet Camaro. You're riding on board with him on his nose as he's trying to chase down to the black and orange number 72 of Aiden Murray. And Murray running for Merrill Motorsports, and if you recognize that name, of course, we talked about him at the opening part of the show. PJ Merrill was one of the drivers who could have mathematically put himself in the playoff conversation. Unfortunately, he's not here tonight, but his teammate, at least for Merrill Motorsports, Aiden Murray, going to be representing them on the track. And Murray has been one of the show-out drivers throughout this season. We've seen him a good chunk of times ever since the drop of the green flag at Daytona. I remember watching him over at Phoenix in the doubleheaders. He's pretty much joined the Bundren Lawn Care Series all season long. Right now, sweeping into our lap 30 mark of 100. It's been all green flag racing. 1.4 seconds between White and Miller. That's possibly the pit strategies will start to come in at some point.
Yeah, I want to say I'd like to say the fuel run for this this racetrack is around 40 to 50 to 60, maybe 70 laps. So I think it definitely could be a one-stop race or possibly a two-stop, depending on if they pit before lap number 50.
You're riding on board with the number 82 of Cole Williams as he's entering turn 1. He has caught up to the number 17 of Cole Woody. So it seems as though the tire saving strategy is working out. As you saw a little bit further up ahead, the battle for 8th has traded spots. 054 of Thompson has reeked over to the number 8th position, and Murray will fight back for the 9th spot. We'll try to trade places once again as Woody is now under fire from the 82. And the 82, one of those drivers that we thought could possibly win at Darlington last week as well. Charlie, he fell into that same group as Parker White, Blaze McKinney, pretty much the three strongest drivers at that night. and then all of a sudden the pit cycle just had mistakes that put them to the rear or had damage that pretty much set them back from there on out. The 82 being one of them, where he was...
I actually just got word that the pit cycle is going to start right now. Oh, right. Excuse me. I just got word from Nick Miller that he's going in pretty soon. And with Parker White.
Okay, so we may be looking at about, I'd say, lap 35 to 40. Could be that fuel percentage run at a fuel window. I'd say 75% fuel would be looking at about 40 to 44 laps. So we could be edging closer to that pit stop strategy. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on whether White, Miller, or practically anyone else finds their way down to the pit road. I don't believe they're going to pit this time. But actually, leader Parker White will pit on lap number 32 of 100. He's going to be the first one down. Miller, Kenny, and practically a good amount of others will stay out on the track.
All right, so now we kind of have a feel of what the pit run is, and I would expect that this will be a two-stop race. So a lot of these guys, this is a crucial moment, especially in our green flag conditions, that these guys don't speed because, you know, for the guys running in the top 5 like Mitch Hobbs, that's crucial positions that they don't want to lose by speeding.
Well, if they're pitting on lap number 33, Charlie, we could look at a two-stop, but I'd say maybe 2.5, almost 3, because if you're going on lap number 33, you're probably going to go about probably 33, 34 laps by. That'll be about lap number, I'd say 67, 66 you're looking at. If you cut it that close or if you get it exactly on the mark. But I guess with that one, then you're going to be running about, I'd say 34, 35 laps to the end. And then that really goes up to about lap 90 to 95. And I don't believe they'll be good to the end, or at least to lap number 100 with that strategy. You see Nick Miller down at pit road. He's falling back to 10th. Blaze McKinney, who took over an FP1, he will be down pit road. And Cole Williams will be your new leader.
Well, actually, if they're going to cut it that close within the 5-lap range, this could end up in a fuel strategy race with guys possibly saving fuel to try to make it to the end. But this is crucial right here. We're watching right here. Cole Williams leading right now. If you lead a lap, that's a bonus point for you. But right behind him is Cole Woody. So we might see, actually, Cole's coming in right now. So now that bonus point, actually, that's that claim just went out of my head right there. But so now Cole Williams has the bonus point, 1 bonus point for leading a lap. That puts him just 1 more point buffer ahead of the 17 of Cole Woody.
Probably would have helped if Williams had gone down pit road earlier and Woody would be able to get some of that extra point for leading one lap, or possibly even more. You see Aaron Tribble down pit road, Jonathan Jones, Brandon Paunetto, a fairly large group going down pit road, about 5 cars. And here's Parker White, which will inevitably take net P1 back over, as he was pretty much the first one to pit out of everyone else. Obviously Aiden Kirker being the next one, Miller being right behind, so at least that trade for positions has changed. So Aiden Kirker should get net P2 next time by, or maybe if Miller is able to get that pass, then Kirker will still be in third like he was at the opening segment of this race. So everybody getting through their pit cycle. Pretty much everyone has pitted now on the racetrack. We stay green flag racing. There's Miller going by the 39 of Kirker. As he had gone by around turn 3 and 4. That last time by, he was able to get ahead. Kirker, though, still trying to hang tight. But if you're talking about this fuel strategy race, Charlie, it is going to be rather interesting, because it'll be just a question of how do you perform this? How do you try to save fuel? Do you try to be a little bit slower through the corners? Is there a way to find yourself behind a driver, much like Aiden Kirker can be right now, where he can get a little bit of draft and possibly save some fuel in terms of not putting 100% throttle down the straightaways? What's really going to be that big answer to the question that we're kind of asking right now, even though we're very early in this race? We'll stay green as Parker White will continue to lead on lap number 39. Just a reminder to everyone watching in the YouTube chat that if you want to join the conversation with us up in the KBRN booth, you can do so by using hashtag AskKBRN. You put your question, followed by that hashtag. You can ask anything about the series, about the race, about us, or about anything in general, or our broadcasting services, anything around those ranges, you can ask your question using hashtag AskKBRN and join the conversation. Got a question already by our good friend Francisco Bacquiao. He asked, fuel fill is about 60%, so if your one is maybe 35 laps. At least I'd mentioned that a little bit earlier, because I know there's a league I cover, or at least a league that I've seen that they've run 75% fuel, and the fuel window in that range was about 40 to 44 laps. Usually you'd expect drivers to go down pit road around that range. So if we're working with 60% fuel, then we should be looking at about 30 to 35 laps. That was the exact window, the exact target that pretty much everybody nailed down, as I believe Jonathan T. Jones may go one lap down on the racetrack. He's the last car in the lead lap. Here comes Sparker by. It's a good thing for Jones is that he's locked into the playoffs, so this won't even matter in the bigger picture. But I think for Tribble, Marabello, 15, 16 on the track, this is not good news at the halfway mark of this event.
Yeah, I'll get back to your question there about the saving. You know, there's a lot of different tactics that go into saving, like you mentioned, and probably one of the biggest that comes to mind is limiting the amount of push that you get on your car or off the cars. That makes sense, because there's a lot of tracks that have really wide exits, and some of those, you know, include Homestead Miami Speedway and this track, and mainly all 1.5 mile racetracks. And you know, you want to push the car as much as you can in order to gain a lot of time. You want to push it all the way to the wall, but in turn, when you're doing that, you're putting a lot of pressure on the right front tire, and that's probably the tire that's the most crucial in tire saving, because it wears out so quickly. So, you know, it's really important to not push the car, not push the right front, and really limit your wheel inputs.
Yeah, and that's something that really comes to testament at a track like this. And obviously you had mentioned some of the other tracks we visit, Homestead Miami Speedway, which will be a very big factor if we get down to that part of the race, or if we kind of have the same sort of race we're having here tonight. That will be the championship event, so obviously that'll be with a lot more merit than this one does. But still, at tracks like these that are very, very conservative heavy, especially through the long runs, and at a track surface that really wears out the tires more than usual, obviously taking care of the right front, taking care of your tires in general, the best thing that you could do in the longer runs, and obviously will help in terms of being ahead of the other drivers, that if they use their stuff up a little bit earlier than you do, then you're able to get by because you have some of that extra grip due to that conservation. You're looking right now for second and third. Nick Miller and Aiden Kirk are still within a decent sized gap. However, it is kind of grown just a little bit between the two. It's grown to about, I'd say, 0.7 of a second now between them both. As you see just a little bit further, we'll kick back to the top five. There's Mitch Hobbs, Peter Kenny, who we talked about. They were on the other side of the card, and we talked about them earlier. Peter Kenny was running fourth, Mitch Hobbs was running fifth. Now it's the other way around, as Hobbs was able to jump the 35 on the pit strategy. But at least now we're getting into this conversation, because I believe it's gone green to the point where we kind of have to talk about it at some point, especially that we're probably going to look for pit stops around the lap 60 to 65 range. Is there a way to sort of short pit on this type of strategy, especially if you want to kind of gain those positions, or do you really have to just base it off of mistakes and base it off of what the other drivers do and just making sure you nail your pit stop on your end?
Well, I think the situation that we're in right now is a bit different, because, you know, with the pit cycles, I would be talking an entire different situation if these guys wouldn't have less than 10 laps to go when they take their final pit stop. Because, you know, if they were more than that, then yes, they might be able to take a short pitting strategy. But since they have that just 10 lap to go mark, they can pretty much split these two runs in half. So I think there definitely is a short pitting factor that they could play. But there's many different combinations, many pieces to the puzzle that go into oval racing and pit stops and pit strategy. So, I mean, I think, you know, some of these guys, especially Nick Miller, the strategist, could possibly pull a pit strategy.
I'd say it's kind of like a big Jenga tower. You flick one, and you kind of methodically try to plan your way, but all of a sudden you can flick one the wrong way, and then the whole tower just collapses. And that kind of, you can compare it to sort of the pitch strategy that these guys may have to deal with across lap number 49. We have a question down, or actually two questions rather, down in the YouTube chat. One by Sean Urick 97. He asked, will Parker choke? Well, I wouldn't answer that question directly for you, but we'll find out, I believe. as he's riding along with Jonathan T. Jones, who's trying to fight for his lap back on the racetrack. And also another question by Neil Myers, as he had kind of introduced himself a little bit earlier, that it's been a bit. He would try to return to the series next season, which obviously would be good news. And he asked, will the series be on Monday nights next season? Planning to return? The answer will be yes. So if this season does extend to that 4th season, we'll still have that plan of running Monday nights. And I'm assuming the Adamans will also keep an eye on that and just make sure that it'll stay on Monday nights rather than kind of shifting around the clock and going to another day throughout the week, where the Bundren Lawn Care Series has already kind of infamously put itself on the block in terms of the schedule itself. So if we breached over lap number 50 and we reached our exact halfway mark of the race, it's time to go through the field right here on the KBueno Racing Network. We'll start with winner in this series on a road course, Parker White in the 95, still looking for that illustrious oval win. Number 95, Bundren Toyota Camry, has been running that pretty much ever since the finale last season. He's been repping that for most of the races in this season. Still has been leading every single lap this race. Pretty much, I think, a couple of laps just because of the pitch strategy. However, it has been a very, very dominating fashion night for the number 95 once again. Happened at Darlington, did not go in his favor. We'll see if it falls in the same category, whether it can result in an oval win tonight for the 95.
Nick Miller, one of the playoff locks, that's looking for yet another win to add to his resume. Got one win this season at one of the Phoenix doubleheaders, and has looked pretty strong throughout the rest of the season. Obviously, being in this top 5 or top 4 in the playoff or in the regular season standing so far. So Nick Miller hoping to close out the regular season with a strong podium finish and embark on his playoff journey.
Aiden Kirkland, the number 39, has no wins to his resume just yet in this series, but has been making his talk throughout the point standings. He is your current points leader, came into this race 1 point ahead of second place Blaze McKinney, and he has been eyeing on that regular season trophy since the drop of the green flag here tonight, and currently in a good spot to do so and get some extra points over McKinney to secure that regular season title. And surely first in the playoffs wouldn't hurt whatsoever, especially going into the Charlotte Roval at 39. Right now looking at a positive stretch. 3rd on the racetrack, has never let go since.
Mitch Hobbs, one of the periodic races that comes, that's and a caution's out.
Caution flag as we've just gotten to Mitch Hobbs on the track. We'll try to get a word on who this was. I see one car slow to the bottom. That's Peter Kenny in the number 35, was running in this top 5 right behind Mitch Hobbs. And he's got heavy damage to the front end. Caution waves at the halfway mark of this event. We'll take a replay and see exactly where this stemmed from and where the 35 got that damage, because I'm not sure where we saw it happen.
I think this wreck originated on the front straightaway between the 42 and the 35. We'll see what happens. Not sure if it had anything to do with the apron here. And it looks like... Oh, wow. Yeah, that's pretty common. You know, so a lot of the guys expect, you know, their competitors to cut the apron as per se. But sometimes a lot of the guys just kind of stick it up there and keep it off the apron. But Peter Kenny was not expecting to do that.
You can see just maybe there as the 82 was just trying to hold his line and not go down to the apron. I believe the 35 may have thought that he was going to go down there. They were going to stay side by side. You see him just close that gap, gets into him, tries to correct the race car, and then goes hard into the outside safer barrier. Luckily, no one else was involved, but for a night that was so strong for the number 35 Jet Puff Toyota Camry, and a very colorful paint scheme, now with significant damage on pit road. And meanwhile, everyone else behind Parker White, including Parker White himself, will be down pit road, so our talk and field strategy may come to a close, but we'll just have to see what happens, especially when it comes off the race.
Parker White leads the race off of pit road, followed by the 9 of Nick Miller. And when we go back green flag racing here, we're going to experience that pack race that we saw when we first dropped the green flag to start this event. And it's really going to be close quarters racing. And it could change a lot for some of these guys, especially for someone like Cole Woody.
Cole Woody came out of that 7th on the racetrack. That will mean heavy numbers to the number 17, especially when it comes to trying to fight his way for a shot at a title. under caution at lap number 56. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back with more coverage of the iRacing Bundren Lawn Care Series from the Windy City in the virtual Chicagoland Speedway. Don't go anywhere. We've got more coming next. Coverage of the iRacing Bundren Lawn Care Series right here on the KBueno Racing Network is brought to you by iRacing. Join thousands of sim racers across the world at iRacing.com. By U Media Graphic Design. For inquiries, just search up eo.media on Instagram. And by Supermix Concrete Blocks on Demand. Welcome back to the Chicagoland Speedway, where we have just reached the 1 to green signal on lap number 58. Our first caution involved Peter Kenny in the number 35 as he got into contact with the 82 of Cole Williams and got sent to the outside wall. His night is pretty much over for the most part, and we are doubled up, ready to take it back. Green flag racing. Your field will look like this. Parker White still at the head of this field. Aiden Kirker will be second. Nick Miller will be third. Mitch Hobbs will be fourth. Brady Weileman fifth. Glenn Bundren sixth. Cole Woody in the seventh spot. Aiden Murray, Blaze McKinney, and Brandon Paunetto will round out your top 10. Remember, we still have a battle for the playoffs bubble still going on. We will crown a regular season champion here tonight, and we will decide our 10 drivers to run for a title. It's been all Parker White. We'll see if anyone else comes up to the center stage. Off of turn number 4, down to the tri-oval, we are back under green from Chicagoland. Parker White on the gas once more. He'll get a good gap from Nick Miller and Aiden Kirker as the number 9 of Miller will look to the inside. Everybody cleared through turn number 1.
Full head of steam, but with this draft, with this iRacing Cup car package, it's like a slinky almost. It'll bring everyone back up to the bumpers of other cars. Here comes Mitch Hobbs to the inside with heat from Aiden Kirker in the number 39. But for the race lead, here comes Nick Miller. Good challenge for it.
Yeah, Miller right in the draft, and we saw in the opening stage of that race, Parker White had got to a good gap and was pretty much nowhere. There was contact there right in the corner panel between the 9 and the 95. Here comes the 9 of Miller to the inside, pinching down to the bottom, almost contact. Hobbs trying to look for third. Kirker all the way to the bottom of the racetrack, looking for spots. It is calamity here into turn number 3.
This is the kind of racing that happens when you get those fresh tires. Mitch Hobbs loses up the racetrack contact. Will he save it? Into the wall goes Brady Wheeleman and Aiden Kirker around.
Kirker into the outside wall. Contact with Shane Mantova. Riley Marabello in a huge crash on the front straightaway at lap number 61. As Hobbs got loose off of turn number 4. Tried to save the race car, and a huge pack came barreling on him. There's Brady Weileman also involved. Did not see him get tagged along in this. But a very large wreck. And Marabello with a blown engine could most likely be out of this race.
Wow.
We'll take a replay. It all started, of course, at the front of the field. And, of course, with the tension going up at the front as well. Here's from Mitch Hobbs' perspective as he was lurking for third right in front of Aiden Kirker right behind that battle for the first spot. And you can see this right here all the way to the bottom. The 39 goes way down to try and cross over. Did not look to the inside. And then right here, I think the 89 just tried to arc the corner, got very loose by himself, got into the 39, tried to save it in his contact with the 51. And then swearing down the track, D. Mantova gets involved. I think Cole Williams might have had damage. There comes Riley Marabello soaring into the wreck. Weileman also drifting into Aiden Kirker there. And boy, lots of contenders in this one, including playoff contenders as well. Kirker, your points leader going into tonight. We'll take a look a little bit further back as Marabello did not have damage. He was trying to get through the middle and then bam, right into the 39. Oh.
Wow.
Marabello, one of those drivers, of course, to run in the point standings. He's in 10th, and this definitely will not help him because guess who's in 4th? Cole Woody in the 17. That is 12 cars exactly separating the two. That ties them in point standings right now. Our caution lap number 63. As I believe Nick Miller went down to pit road, and indeed he did. So I'm not sure whether Miller thought it was good to get some tires or get some fuel along the way to top off, I guess, to the end of this race. Could possibly be a good strategy for the end, but we'll have to find out. As Miller was pretty much the only driver to go down pit road apart from... Actually, no, Mason Thompson down pit road. I think he's the only lead lap car to find his way there. There's Parker Collins with a tough run. He's 8 laps down, and he just exited pit road as well. He's trying to muster what he can. Mitch Hobbs, obviously, torn up race car. Weileman down pit road, also trying to get his things fixed. There's D. Mantova with some damage for the Smith SimSport machine. And Aiden Kirker with a bumper clip completely torn off the race car. He is still trying to hold on. Well, funny enough, we have 2 Bundren cars up at the top of this field now. Parker White and Glenn Bundren themselves. They'll be the first 2 on the racetrack. Actually, no, Bundren will find his way down pit road. So, no, actually, no. He'll find his way out. So, I guess he was trying to do a fake there. Maybe get some other drivers to pit in with him. But nobody really fell for the trick. Boy, has this thing changed for the run to the playoffs for many drivers, including Cole Woody, respectively. If Cole Woody can stay where he is, or if he can even gain positions from here on out, this could be the race he needs to get in at the last second at the checkered flag. Guess who's back into the conversation, though? At the top of row number 2, Blaze McKinney will be at 4th. So he will join this fray once again after being shuffled back with that little contact with Aiden Kirker earlier in this event. Aiden Murray, Paunetto will be 5th and 6th, so very good run for both of those drivers, as Paunetto was a little bit further back at the tail end of this field early in the opening run, at least with the cautions and the pitch strategy. The 34 has been able to clamp up. So one fun fact about Brandon Paunetto, he was actually named Fan of the Month by Angry Birds themselves and Rovio, the people who make Angry Birds, and had a whole YouTube video on their channel promoting Brandon, talking all about himself, and of course had a little bit of a mention of the Bundren Lawn Care Series. I think one of the clips shown was him diving into turn 1 with the rest of the field on the green flag. He'll be starting on the outside of row number 3 with Aaron Tribble. Attrition has played a factor. We'll see if it continues to play even more of a factor out of turn number 4. We are back under green as Parker White steps on the loud pedal down to the front straightaway.
My eyes are on the number 17 of Cole Woody. If he finishes any better than 4th place, that'll give him a lock into the playoffs, and he is now almost up to 2nd place.
You see him right there, but there is help up top from the 2 friends, the 87 and the 37. They've been trying to give each other the bump to the outside, maybe pinch all the way in turns 3 and 4. Boy, it is very risky, though, as Bundren's still holding off for the 2nd spot. Parker still up ahead. There's a lot of battling between the guys in the top 5.
Blaze McKinney looking for a 3-wide move. on the number 37 of Glenn Bundren. He will try to squeeze by. Glenn Bundren will let him go. Blaze McKinney up to second place and is now going to try to challenge for the race lead from Parker White.
Well, now they've caught up, and we expected this on the restarts here, Charlie. Everybody packed up together in the draft. There's Aiden Kirker letting everyone go, and you can see now there will be most likely a challenge for the race lead. Blaze McKinney has found his way to second, and he's eyeing down the back bumper, the number 95.
We've seen these guys in a battle pretty much throughout the history of the iRacing Bundren Line Cage series, and it's very, very little times that that number 95 comes out on top. Huge block to the apron. He'll get to the outside. Parker White's not on the preferred line entering the corner. Blaze McKinney could use that momentum to get by in turn 1.
Gonna try to wash up the track. Here comes the 87. Gonna look a little bit loose down to the grass. Almost there, but they're door to door at the start-finish line. McKinney with the advantage to the bottom. Woody looking for that second or first spot if they both tango. Here they come to the inside, and off of turn number 2, we may have a new race leader, but the 95 still holding strong to the back straightaway.
With just over 30 laps to go, here comes Cole Woody. He needs these positions when it matters the most, and he's going to go 3 wide for the race lead entering the corner. Blaze McKinney's going to shut the door, and that'll stack him up with Glenn Bundren as well back there, and Mason Thompson at 054.
Mason Thompson into the equation. Bring him in as well as Aiden B. Murray. They're looking in for the top 5 spots as well. Still side by side, though, for the race lead. I think Parker may have the advantage by just a couple of feet. Over on the back straightaway, he may clear him this time, and I think he does, but there's no gap to fill for the 87. Down to the inside as Murray trying to block. So many drivers in this group as Woody tries to hold on to the outside off turn number 4.
And you just saw Riley Marabello creep around the outside of the racetrack. He's trying to get as many positions as he can, even if he gains 1 spot, which he likely will on Brady Wheelam and Mitch Hobbs. If he gains those 2 spots and he gets up to the 14th position, that means Cole Woody has to finish second or better. It's only going to make it harder for Cole Woody, but he is on the brink of taking that second spot. He's third on the inside of Blaze McKinney.
Oh, and almost a shut there by the 87, just trying to chop off the nose. I believe there was almost contact between the two. Here's Mason Thompson forcing his nose to the inside, looking over for the 4th spot. First time we see him up here all night long with 30 laps to go. Also got a very good point by Francisco Bacallao over in the YouTube chat. He mentions that if they do stay green all the way through, they will be a couple of laps short. But mind you, Nick Miller had pitted on the recent yellow, and he was pretty much all by himself there, as it's very hard to ignore the battle up front. Here comes Cole Woody, the inside for second on Blaze McKinney.
Looking at the telemetry, Riley should be able to take his position all the way to 14th. If he passes Mitch Hobbs and Parker Collins, who are currently in the pit suffering repairs. And also, Mason Thompson, all the way up to second. He's helping Cole Woody get by him.
It is very, very tense up here, and we're trying to talk about this pitch strategy. We're trying to calm ourselves down, take a little breather, and discuss what the green flag run could be like if it stays like that. But it is just hard to keep our eyes off this battle because it is still going on. I believe the best benefactor, though, out of all of this will be the 95 of Parker White. He's sitting there smiling at these drivers in the rearview mirror, just hoping there as Mason Thompson got contact, but a very good save. What a save by the 054. We stay green. Wow.
A good save for some of these guys, and a lot of guys taking advantage of it. Blaze McKinney taking back the, I believe that is the 3rd position, or the 2nd position, I'm sorry.
They'll try to take over for second. They're still side by side. They've calmed down just a little bit. So I guess now we can talk about the fuel strategy just a little more. And at least to expand on what Francisco said, there will be a pitch strategy involved as they pitted a little bit earlier on the caution involving, I believe, that large wreck. Or I believe in one of the cautions prior to that, or the Peter Kenny caution rather. It was the one that where Peter Kenny spun. Everybody had went down pit road, and we kind of saw it coming. We saw everybody going to go down pit road at least to try and top off a little bit. Then that big wreck comes down the front straightaway, and really the only driver to pit was Nick Miller. So Miller could be the best one on fuel right now. He could be the best situation out of all of them right now. He's peaked into 3rd, and so far he's climbing his way back through the field.
The cutoff line is 1 point separating Riley Marabello. He just took back that final playoff spot when Nick Miller got around the 17 of Cole Woody. Just 1 point separating them. And we're going to approach 25 laps to go. We just passed the 25 lap to go mark. So tires and pit strategy coming right up if we do stay green. But how about Brandon Palinetto looking for another top 5 finish after a strong one at Talladega?
And you see him right there under fire from the 82 of Cole Williams. He'll succeed the spot right in between himself and Mason Thompson. Thompson still trying to recover from that little contact with Glenn Bundren there. Luckily that it did not involve a spin whatsoever, no crashes, but very good run for Palinetto. And we talked to him at Talladega when we interviewed the top 5, and he was the driver who finished 5th at the race in that ginormous battle between himself, Josh Patterson, Blaze McKinney, Brody Garner, and Dylan Basin, of course, who won that race at Dega. But Palinetto slowly showing out and currently making a good name for himself in that 7th spot. Top 10 surely wouldn't hurt. We'll take a look back up front, but it's still all Parker White to the head of this field, as Miller and McKinney will continue to fight for 2nd and 3rd respectively. And Cole Woody now under pressure from the 82. Another lost point, maybe at the reins.
And, you know, Cole Williams being Riley Mirabello's teammate, Riley is probably begging him to get by him and at least make it as far as possible. So with that pass, now Riley leads by 2 in the playoff cutoff.
It's going to be very, very close. If you're looking for where Riley Mirabello is on track right now, he is 15th. But the only driver really close enough to him is either Parker Collins ahead. He's 1 lap ahead of him, 8 laps down. And then Brady Weileman, who is 13 laps down. So Mirabello would pretty much just need to stay where he's at, or just hope that Cole Woody does not get into a position where they could be at a tiebreaker or ahead of that, and then he can pass by just on points by himself. You see him get passed by the rest of the field on the lead lap, so that'll put him 10 laps down on the track. It's going to get very close because I know Weileman has some damage, but I believe Mirabello is a little bit slower on the track, as Weileman, with some less damage, is a little bit faster. And we'll see down on the miles per hour limit, you're seeing about 150 for Brady Weileman, 145 for Riley Mirabello down the straightaway. 20 laps to go from Chicagoland.
And right now, it's kind of just a waiting game, and a lot of these guys are all tensed up, especially that 92 of Riley Mirabello, to see if anything happens, and a caution will change this race completely if it were to come out. So I think a lot of these guys are just trying to get settled in. I think the only person in the field that's hoping for a caution is the 17 of Cole Woody. He says he needs it the most.
And he's falling back to this field. I think we have 1 driver down pit road. That's Cole Williams making his stop now. He's going to be good to the end of the race, theoretically, but now we're going to dip our toes into what might be a very interesting run to the end of this race if we stay green. I think Williams was pretty much the only driver to dip down pit road, as everybody else had stayed out. So we'll see whether Parker or anyone else behind practically don't down pit road, because they will be short. Here he comes, race leader, number 95, down to the entrance of pit road. Everybody else will stay out. Hard on the brakes to the entrance of pit road. It'll be all safe for him. And Miller, McKinney, and Woody, and also Thompson will also stay out.
These guys are all going to dive down pit road, but I can assure you that that 17 is going to try to stay out as long as he can to get that lead lap bonus point, to even cut the gap just closer and closer to the 92 car. It's just so close, but so far away for that 17.
There goes the 87 and McKinney down pit road, but now the question resides, does Miller stay out for the rest of this race, or does he inevitably have to pit at some point? Because remember, he did top off on the recent yellow at about lap number 65, 66, I'd say. And with that extra fuel on the load, that could be the difference for winning and losing this race. We'll have to see whether Miller decides to go down pit road. Woody, I believe, trying to stay out on high hopes that Miller doesn't go down pit road so he can lead a lap, gain that extra point, and be able to edge himself closer to Riley Mirabello in the standings, as Mirabello still is 15th. As there's McKinney out of pit road. Here's the guys that are left to pit.
And with 15 laps to go, that gap has closed a lot. And even if you just come down pit road 1 lap early, that's such a big gap. And you see Nick Miller with a huge gap. Actually, he hasn't come down pit road yet. Cole Woody there as well. Mason Thompson following suit. So it's pretty much the waiting game. I'm waiting for a lot of these guys to cycle around to really get a feel of what this playoff is going to look like.
And it's going to be very interesting here. You just saw Glenn Bundren getting out of pit road. He's getting to the exit cone right of the max straightaway, so he's already out. But at this point, Miller is looking to stay out at this point. I mean, there's been no signaling whatsoever that the 9 was going to hit his pit box and get some extra fuel. So we could see him stay out for the rest of this race, and that could also pose a very big risk for Woody and Thompson, because if Woody's expecting the 9 to go down pit road, especially as the gap is closing now, well, what happens with Woody? Does he stay out to the end? Does he run himself dry? Or does he inevitably decide to go down pit road, knowing that Miller is saving at this point? Here he comes. This is the battle for the race lead. Woody underneath. He'll take it into turn number 3, but will he go down pit road?
I think he's going to stay out to try to lead that lap, and he might get on this time, but I think that number 9 of Nick Miller is saving. He did pit under... I can't recall exactly, but he pit a lot later than some of the guys during the last yellow, so that could mean a bit more fuel saving. A lot of these guys looking to get their laps back, led by Blaze McKinney with Parkway. Speaking of Blaze McKinney, he flip-flopped that race lead over to him as he hit a little bit earlier.
Well, maybe not talk about the race lead just yet, because if Miller is saving, if he stays out, it could put some other guys a lap down and keep them there if they're not able to get by. Obviously for Parker and McKinney, most likely for Cole Williams as well, as he's getting around Mason Thompson. This will be their shot for them to get their laps back and just try to get back up through this field. They have a couple cars, though, that have yet to pit, and it stems all the way back to Jonathan T. Jones in the 7th spot, who has yet to pit on the racetrack. He has 24 laps on his stint. So far, the highest driver on the stint, it is Cole Woody, tied with Aiden Murray and Aaron Tribble. 33 laps on the racetrack since they have last pit. And we'll see just how long they're able to stretch it, because it's about 35 laps that they can get over to the end of this. So maybe Woody and Thompson are running this thing till the last drop until they can loop their way around pit road, but that really poses a danger even if they run out of fuel. And now we're getting to 10 laps to go, so time is running out at this point, as Miller will stay to 2nd. He'll possibly lose over to 3rd, but what will Woody and Thompson and everybody behind them do?
Clock's ticking, and even, at this point, even if Cole Woody reaches the end of his fuel run, he's not going to take tires. He's just going to come down and get a splash of fuel and maybe save a lot more time, especially with the amount of lost time that he's getting by staying out on these old tires. But the only person who knows this strategy is that man, and that's currently driving the number 17 car.
Okay, so actually to make this a little more interesting here, Woody is at 35. He'll cross the line for 36 laps on this stint. But remember, when we talked about Miller going down pit road, I realized that there was one other driver, as Aaron Tribble now has finally hit pit road, so he's going to end his stint there. There was one other driver who stayed out with Nick Miller, and that was the driver right in front of Nick Miller at the moment. Mason Thompson had pitted along with Miller. We talked about it, I believe, for just a fraction of a second. I had mentioned that Mason was also down pit road, and then I went on to mention other drivers who had damage. So it's not a 1-car battle. It is 2 here that are possibly stretching it to the end and hoping Woody runs out of gas. 8 laps to go at the line.
Wow.
Woody still out of turn 2. If you're looking for where everybody is in terms of the fresh tires, Parker White, Blaze McKinney, Cole Williams, Glenn Bundren, they're 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th on the racetrack. Parker White leading this group, though. I believe Jonathan Jones has yet to pit as well. Shani Mantova has yet to pit. Cole Woody, there he is, down pit road. Finally ran it all the way to the last drop. And he'll make it to his pit box. That gives the lead over to Mason Thompson with 6 laps to go from Chicagoland Speedway.
If you listen to the in-car of Nick Miller during that last corner, he is clutching and saving. You hear him mid-corner holding that clutch down, then jumping back up, taking the clutch out. So he is on a fuel-saving strategy, and this could be the strategy that wins him the race or the car right in front of him. Mason Thompson.
Yeah, look at this as he's going down the front straightaway. Look at the 32.
Take a look at his RPMs.
Right
all the way
there.
down to idle.
And right there, he is clutching it and coasting it, but he caught up to the 054, so they're both doing the same thing here.
Oh, Shane just missed pit road.
Now we'll look over at Shaney Mantova as Parker White has gone to third on the racetrack. Shaney Mantova, missed his pit box in the grass. Well, it's been a very tough night for him already. It's gotten a little bit worse. But with 5 laps to go here, or coming to 5 laps to go, they've crossed the line. It's a 21-second gap between Parker White, Nick Miller, and Mason Thompson. About all 3 of them separated, or at least them 2 together. But Parker White about 20 seconds behind. Not sure whether he's able to catch up or whether Miller and Thompson will fight for this race win. Right on fuel strategy. It has been very, very close for these two as they have pitted together. And then we talked about it in Francisco. I had mentioned it earlier in the chat that they were going to be short regardless. So we saw them go down pit road on that last yellow. Probably not expecting this to go green all the way throughout. And now it's these two at the top, just hoping they can survive with 4 laps to go.
And it's a clutching game. Both of these drivers out front are clutching and coasting in the corners. It's just a matter of who does it better, who times it better, and who will be able to prevail when we wrap around and we complete these last 3 green flag laps.
You can see there just a tap of the clutch, then right deep into the clutch in turn 1. And remember, Thompson, you look at the rear camera, look how close Miller is. This is not going to be a stretch out. This is going to be very close between Miller and Thompson. I believe Miller just trying to hang in the draft now. Coming off turn 4, they'll catch 2 laps to go from Chicagoland. Thompson, Miller fighting for spots. Parker White on the freshest tires, 18 seconds behind.
Oh, I believe Mason Thompson may have gotten loose on the apron. Nick Miller to his outside. This is the race for the win. Nick Miller takes the lead with 2 laps to go.
He'll get to the outside. Thompson has nowhere to go, but behind, new race leader, Nick Miller down the back straightaway. Will Thompson have an answer? We'll find out in the next 2 laps or so, in the next 3 miles. In a 3 and 4 for the second to last time, Miller will come off turn 4 and take the white flag from the Windy City. One more time around. Kenny holding on. Mason's out of fuel.
Mason Thompson, he's out of fuel, up by the wall. He's going to try to coast it all the way down, but the race lead has flip-flopped to the 9 of Nick Miller. The strategist himself saved enough fuel on the last lap, but the question is there enough to make it back to the line?
Does he have enough? Can Parker White catch up in time into the back straightaway for the final time? Very slow. He tried saving enough. He pitted on the recent yellow. It's been green ever since. And Miller will come off of turn 4. His second win will come here tonight from Chicagoland. Nick Miller wins it from the Windy City. Wow.
I'm listening to Parker White's in-car, and he is shocked that Nick Miller was able to pull that off.
And there's Parker White crossing the line, finishing second. Blaze McKinney will finish third. Cole Williams fourth. And guess what? Another top 5 for Brandon Paunetto. He will cross the line 5th. Ties his best career finish in the series. And Miller on fumes. I don't believe he'll have enough to burn it down. I can't believe the finish had turned out the way it did. And if you look back to another league at this very venue as he smacks the outside wall trying to burn it down, he had done some of the same moves at this very racetrack in these same conditions in the Redline Cup Series. And I remember watching it. I was in the booth for that event. Miller had decided to pit way earlier than a lot of the field. We kind of underestimated the way he would execute it, but he executed it in the perfect manner. And that gave him the win. And tonight, it's no different. The battle between Woody and Marabello will most likely come back to the benefit of Marabello. He'll finish 14th. Woody will finish 10th. So it is just 4 points separated. Marabello should keep that points overhang into the bubble. But it's all eyes on Nick Miller. 2-time winner after winning one of the races in the doubleheader at Phoenix earlier this season. Comes back with another win of his own at Chicagoland. and he'll burn it down with some of his friends down to the front straightaway at the start-finish line. We'll take a look now at your full-fledged unofficial results from what has been a wild fuel strategy call race here at Chicagoland Speedway. Nick Miller, your winner here tonight. Second time that he's won in this season, with Parker White coming up just short on the freshest tires, 17 seconds behind in second. Blaze McKinney, defending champion, will arrive here at the start-finish line in their last podium spot, with Cole Williams finishing the number 82 machine in fourth. Brandon Paunetto ties his best career finish with another fifth-place finish after his fifth at Talladega, so he comes back on a 1.5 miler with a very, very good run. Aiden Murray will follow behind in the sixth spot, with Aaron Tribble in seventh. Mason Thompson will start the guys one lap down. Remember, Thompson was one of those drivers fighting for the exact win there in the number 054. Lost fuel just coming to the white flag, and he will finish 8th. Glenn Bundren, league owner, will finish 9th, with Cole Woody one lap down, will finish at the edge of the top 10.
Right outside the top 10, Shane DiMantova in the 20 car finishes in the 11th position, one lap down. Jonathan T. Jones, 12th. Aiden Kirker lost the regular season championship in the final race, but is still coming home with a strong regular season points position. He finishes 13th. Riley Mailbell, your final playoff spot, finishes 14th. Brady Williman, another playoff lock, finishes 15th. Parker Collins, 16th. Mitch Hobbs, 17th. Peter Kenny, with an unfortunate exit early on, 18th. Latham Joyner, 19th. Colton Zimmer in the 20th position.
Rounding out your field, and there was just 21 cars. The driver who did not start this race and did not have a chance to start on the grid, Mark Frimpong in the 051, unfortunately, was not there to start on the grid and start this race. He finishes at the tail end of this field. When we come back, we'll have our KBRN post-race coverage brought to you by SDC. We'll have interviews with the top 5 and your regular season champion as we edge even closer. And next week, we'll start the Bundren Lawn Care Series playoffs. We'll have all our recapping thoughts and more coming next. Don't go anywhere. We've got a lot more coming up for you right here on the KBueno Racing Network. Back live from the virtual Chicagoland Speedway, where we kick off our KBRN post-race coverage, brought to you by SDC. And instead of a photo finish to the end like last season, we had a fuel strategy run to the very end for the iRacing Bundren Lawn Care Series. Race number 9, our final regular season race of the evening, or the season, before we get to the Charlotte Roval and the Bundren Lawn Care Series playoffs. It was a double-edged sword fight between Nick Miller and Mason Thompson, trying to save the most fuel all the way to the end. But it was Nick Miller being the winner off of it all, as Thompson ran out of fuel with just 2 laps to go. And with that, we'll bring in your race winner, Nick Miller, as he will bring him in from victory lane and get his thoughts, obviously, on what has been a phenomenal end to the race. And Nick, I remember I traced this back all the way to Redline Cup Series at this very track. And I remember you had a very bold pit strategy at hand. I don't think anyone believed that it would be the working strategy. You executed that perfectly, and you won the race. Tonight is no different. You pitted on the most recent yellow. It went green all the way to the end, and it was basically a saving battle between yourself and Mason Thompson. Walk us through that final segment. And I believe it must have been just so stressful for you to the end.
Yeah, you couldn't really, I don't know, I guess they had a dirty air or something, but once you had the lead, it didn't matter about saving tires. Parker was gone. And it kind of, like, the second run when Jonathan was pushing Parker, I noticed that if he's getting pushed, like, he can lead, but if he's getting pushed, it burns his tires. It's like, I was gaining ground, but, like, without getting the lead, I wasn't going to be able to win because of how much clean air meant. So we stayed out the first lap, and then I kind of, like, thought about it for a second. And then I kind of baited him to stay out, and now, like, hopefully no one else did it. And I guess people just didn't think about it. And yeah, we did it. And then I had my boy Mitch Hobbs. He was up in the sky helping me out with that as well. Just good old strats. And yeah, we had about a lap to the good, I think.
And it was very, very close, because I know Thompson had run out of fuel just coming to the white flag, and we were very concerned as to whether that last lap was going to feature either you running out of fuel or whether you were able to save it all the way to the end. And luckily, it was the latter in that case. So you're able to capture the win for the second time in the season after your win at the Phoenix doubleheader, just in the second event of the season. Nick, I know that you were already locked in theoretically into the playoffs, so you didn't have anything to worry about, even if you had a horrendous night at Chicago, and you were going to be locked in regardless. But with this win, especially at the 1.5 milers, does this give you any sort of better reference, or does this give you some more momentum knowing that we'll have some 1.5 mile races and there could be a lot more to take into account coming to the playoffs, and knowing you have that sort of experience with field strategy and, of course, the whole shebang of 1.5 mile racing?
Yeah, I mean, I like I just like 1.5s in general. They're kind of my thing out of all the mile tracks on NASCAR. So I mean, definitely a good confidence booster. But I mean, with me being locked in before the race, that's kind of like the only reason I kind of went with the strategy, because I guarantee without that, without me being locked in, I probably wouldn't have done the strategy. But like, I kind of thought, I have nothing to lose. I'm already locked in. Might as well see if this works. So turns out it did. So good to know though for future reference.
And of course, should be good for reference. Of course, you won a 1.5 miler at Kansas last season. Of course, that put you in position for the championship. For Nick, here though at Chicagoland, I know there's a lot of people you'd have to thank for your performance and fuel strategy shot here tonight. So who do you got to thank? Any team sponsors or anyone else you decide to give the love and shout outs to from the Windy City?
I'd like to thank SPM, although we had no one, I don't think anyone there tonight for SPM, but I recently switched over from Prox to SPM for Bundy, so I'm going to start giving them the recognition, as well as, of course, Mitch Hobbs and Ben keeping me updated with the time intervals between me and Parker, making sure I didn't give up too much time. So,
well, Nick, certainly run all the way on fumes till the very end of the checkered flag. We congratulate you on your second win of the season here from Chicago, and of course, we wish you all the best of luck going into the playoffs next week at Charlotte Roval. You've had a very strong run there last season, so we'll see how you do, and of course, we wish you the best of luck now going into the rest of the season.
All right, thank you guys.
That's Nick Miller, your race winner here from the Chicagoland Speedway. We'll look back to second place, where the most dominant driver of the night will come home short, however, at probably a softer blow. He is sitting trackside. That's number 95 of Parker White, who's right by our Charlie Baier.
Parker, 75% of the race led, but Fortunately, that strategy just kind of slipped out of your hands there. Just talk about that strategy and how that played out for you in the last couple laps.
Yeah, I don't know. We had by far the fastest car. Like, the reason I didn't pit under that one yellow right after, I think we had a caution like a few laps before, and we came down, put fuel and tires on the car. And then we had another caution, like, I think it was like 2 or 3 laps after. I look at my fuel and I'm like 3 gallons short, and I've only burned like maybe 1.5 gallons. So I don't like pit because I know we obviously can't make it. So we end up going green the rest of the way. So I pit knowing that the entire field won't be able to make it. So I bring it down pit road, I think like lap 82 or 83. Put fuel, tires on the car. I know Blaze took 2. We eventually got around him. Then from there, I was basically just thinking that it was our race to win. But then like the laps kept winding down and the leaders weren't pitting. I was like, how are they doing this? Because like from my experience, like fuel saving doesn't work very good in iRacing. But then we got to the white flag. I saw Mason was slow. But then I don't know. Nick still won. It's just like the smallest things that keep getting us every week. It's just kind of frustrating.
All right. Well, aside from those regular season struggles, we are embarking on kind of a clean slate with these playoffs coming up. So a lot of the tracks that seem to fit your strong suit, especially the road course with your Daytona Roval win earlier this season. So what's really going to be the strategy throughout these playoffs and trying to take your run to your championship 4 again?
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna give it all I have. I've kind of done that like in recent history when iRacing maybe like from a month ago, and it's worked out pretty good for me. So I think we're just gonna give it all we have in the playoffs, and yeah, I think we'll be fine.
Alrighty, consistency is key, and we wish you the best of luck in ensuring that. But before we let you go and send you off on your playoff journey, do you have any teams or anyone that you'd like to thank for making tonight's P2 finish possible?
Yeah, I have to thank my team, Regas Sim Sport. I obviously couldn't have done it without that car, super fast car tonight. And I've got to thank Bundren Lawn Care and Il Media for being on the car, and of course you guys at KBRN for the awesome broadcast every week.
Alrighty, Parker, we'll see you next week, and best of luck, man.
All right, thank you, Charlie.
Parker out of the booth. you kind of have to feel for him leading 77 laps out of 100, and it kind of slipping out of his hands. And it's certainly not the first time we've seen it. But yeah, we're on to third place.
And we'll catch up with a third place driver, and not only just third place finisher, but our regular season champion for season 3 of the iRacing Bundren Lawn Care Series, Blaze McKinney. And Blaze, I think it is obviously fair to say that you had quite possibly one of the stronger races here tonight. You come home third on the pitch strategy, but even better news to come along with this at the end of this race. You are officially the season 3 regular season champion. Walk us through your entire journey throughout, and of course, your emotions here after winning, or at least the regular season title, now going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I was hoping to have a little bit of a better race today. The beginning, we were up front there, and then I made a mistake trying to clear myself, and I lost a lot of track position through the grass there. So pretty much the entire race was just trying to fight it back up to it from that. But happy we came home with third. I feel like we had definitely the speed to win. We just never had like the circumstances to get it. But I'm really happy that we got the championship for the regular season. Bonus points are really going to help, so we're going to have that point cushion there, so I can kind of just try to focus on getting points throughout the first couple rounds and try to get to the final 4 and then focus on winning. So it's just on from here.
Yeah, on from here, and of course it'll be a 5-point spread from each and every driver in these playoffs, so it'll still be very close. And I know that you were able to hang on to the points here in the regular season, and now comes the playoffs. But here comes the first challenge. The Charlotte Roval will come next week at the road course. I know you weren't able to make the race last season, and you were replaced by a good friend, Benjamin Fanning. But now that you'll most likely be here and be behind the wheel of the race car at the Charlotte Roval this time by, knowing that it's the first race of the playoffs as opposed to Chicago being that race, what's going to be the mindset now stepping into that one and trying to set yourself up for another possible championship 4 run?
Yeah, that's probably going to be the biggest, like the hardest race of the whole run here for me. Because I mean, I like the Roval, but I feel like it might not be like my strongest track. So we're just going to, hopefully we can get a good top 3, top 5 run there. And hope some of the other guys have some problems to kind of give us more of a cushion. But I feel like the rest of the races, I'm pretty confident about it.
it's just about consistency. We can't have one bad race because then we lose all those points. Then we're kind of in a hole. Just try to keep consistent throughout these next couple of races. I think it's like 5 or 6 of them. Try to go to Homestead, try to win the championship.
Indeed, consistency will be some of the biggest factors going into the Title 1. Blaze, I know there's a lot of people you got to thank. Of course, I know in the actual Discord chat, you've been very active about that. The #1 team, so we'll let you give your thanks. Which people do you got to thank? Any team sponsors or anyone else you just had to give the love and shout-outs to for tonight?
Yeah, thanks to Grayson, Flying Arrows, all the guys over there. Actually took over the #1 standing in the points right now for team standings. We're #1 over EMR now. We got that. Me and Shane and Jonathan kind of, or not Shane, sorry. Me and Jonathan just kind of heading that front there. And Chris Lay Designs, Chris for bringing these beautiful cars out tonight. I'm glad to bring a new scheme out for 2021. I love the car we raced tonight. Wish we could have won with it, but we'll get there. Bundren Lawn Care, Glenn for putting on the series each week. And of course, you guys for putting on these great broadcasts. I appreciate you guys doing this each and every week. They're amazing. I'm glad that you put that out there for everybody to watch, and all my friends and family out there for watching. I appreciate it.
Of course, Blaze, your appreciation is of course. Oh boy, I just lost my thought there. Yeah. The appreciation is appreciated, I guess, of us at KBRN. Of course, thank you for taking the time to join us. Congratulations on not only your last step of the podium finish here from Chicagoland, but your regular season title. Now you'll be able to carry that over into the playoffs. And, of course, we wish you the best of luck now stepping into the Roval. I know it's going to be a long and hard, challenging playoffs to go to the title run, but we wish you the best of luck moving forward.
All right, thank you, guys. Have a good night.
That was Blaze McKinney. Kind of got lost in my words there, just trying to cap off my thoughts, unfortunately, but that was Blaze McKinney, your third place finisher here from the Chicagoland Speedway. Of course, our top 5 interviews is warranted, so we'll go back to 4th place where EMD Racing's number 82 of Cole Williams, he is standing trackside with Charlie Baier.
And into the booth, Cole. You had to fight for it all race, but eventually, when it came down to it, you were able to put yourself into a playoff position. Talk about that strategy throughout the race and putting yourself in that position, as it was very hard fought for.
Yeah, man, it was a big struggle out here today. We knew we weren't gonna. Basically, all of us, I guess, besides Nick Miller, was not gonna make it on fuel, and I just wanted to go aggressive since basically with everyone retiring, there were 16 cars left on the track, and I needed like finish like 16th or something to make sure to lock in. So I think we were good with how many retired anyway. So from there, we were just trying to maybe play for the win. Obviously, now playing for the win would have been staying out, but you're hoping maybe we can jump Parker there. We just did not have a great entrance. It was pretty good, but not a great entrance to gain. And then his one lap fresher tires, along with the little damage I had, just pulled him away. And then we would have beat Blaze obviously too if he would have taken 4, but the 2 tires ended up being probably the best tire call overall. But I didn't really think about that, and I was just trying to make sure that we stayed in the safer side of things. So congrats to Nick, of course, doing the Glenn Bundren strategy and staying out, saving not tires. Well, obviously he saved his tires towards the start, but then of course saving the fuel to get there. Just really stressful at the start. Just people not being smart, not using their mirrors, not looking around. I think like 62 or something. The Blaze was like completely at the white line, and I'm running the wall pretty much, and he just comes all the way up to tag my left front. That's the stuff that can't really be allowed in the playoffs, I don't think, or it won't be really tolerated, I don't think, by whoever higher up people. And then just like when Peter just came down for no reason at all, I'm not forced to run the apron if I want to. And that's what really I think what helped my speed was just conserving the tires a little bit by not cutting that, and also just following the draft was the main thing. But thankfully that Peter incident didn't give me any damage, and then the huge incident just got a little bit of damage in front of the left rear tire, but that was fine. That didn't really affect anything. It was just a little bit of left front, which is one of the most sensitive areas from that guy just coming right up, just being a hazard like usual. Really probably killed my shot at contending Parker White for the win. Or not for the win, P2.
All right, well, these playoffs really test the skills of drivers with such the variety of different tracks that we're going to go to. What do you think is going to be your strong suit coming into these rounds and trying to, once again, put yourself in a position to advance through?
I think mainly these mile and a halves, these ovals are going to be big time for me. Of course, the roval, I'm not anything special there like Parker Wide or Brody Gardner, but I should just be able to pull out a pretty, finish. Just hopefully just bring it home clean and try to gain some points on competitors that might not be as good at these road courses. And then just looking for the mile and a half. Second, the fun finales at Homestead, of course, one sticks out to me is my home track auto club. I think I believe we're doing win you're in and then 5-point splits. So for like bonus points or whatever. So I think Auto Club, we have to go in there looking like a pretty much a must win. I feel like we could do that. And then Bristol, I think we keep the RPMs in the car and we keep the suspension straight. And we'll definitely have a chance at Bristol too. And then just tracks like Daytona and the Roval are going to be, well, Daytona's mainly just going to be luck. Roval's going to be keeping it clean. And then just having speed, of course, and then people like Parker White, Brody Gardner, the aliens, as I like to say, are going to go up there and battle for the win. But just looking at Las Vegas and Dover, another two tracks for me, I feel like I'm very solid at. I just need to not stop choking at Dover on the last 10 laps. We'll be good there in the Vegas, of course, just a mile and a half, just like this track, pretty much. And we're good at saving, so we'll definitely be looking good for the rounds. Just hoping the bonus points and the splits doesn't throw away any of my chance. And if we need to win, we'll definitely get elbows out.
All right, well, yeah, as you said, consistency is going to be key in order to take this season to the championship floor. Well, we wish you the best of luck as you embark on your playoff journey. But before we let you go, do you have any teams or anyone that you'd like to thank for making tonight's top 5 run possible?
I just want to thank you, Mario Meter Racing, of course. I want to shout out Riley Marabello for getting into the playoffs. Obviously, didn't have the best of runs tonight and got involved in that huge wreck off of 2 or off of 4. And then just thankfully the luck fell his way with some of the other competitors. I want to make a big shout out to these Custom Diecasting in the final race, like on our cars. Just want to thank them a lot for what they've been able to do. I was glad to support their logo on the hood. For our last race here. Of course, I want to thank Shane DiMantova and Shane DiMantova Designs for making this beautiful. I guess it's kind of like Casey Kane throwback, but in a way, it's just kind of like a nice little paint scheme for this Camry. It looks absolutely beautiful. I want to thank Appella Gaming and Stealth Energy again for just coming on the car, being awesome sponsors. I just want to thank you guys for, of course, putting on the broadcast week in, week out, and continuing to work hard in the booth, and I'm happy to put on a show for you guys down the track.
All right, Cole, we'll see you next week, and best of luck, man.
Thank you, man.
Out of the booth, Cole Williams looking for a consistent run after taking it all the way to the championship on LWRC, hoping to repeat it.
That's Cole Williams in the 4th spot. We'll kick back to our our penultimate interview of the night. It'll be the final driver in the top 5, and number 34, tying his best career finish in the series, 5th at Talladega, 5th here at Chicagoland Speedway. We'll bring Brandon Paunetto in trackside. And Brandon, we talked to you with your best career finish at Talladega Super Speedway, and obviously the success has continued. The consistency did continue as well. You tie your best career finish here tonight at Chicagoland. Just walk us through this race for you, because I know it was kind of back and forth for a good chunk of the race where you kind of had a share at the tail end of the field battling with some guys, and you're able to get through the midfield, be able to get to about 5th. You almost had a shot at the race leaders, and the whole pitch strategy came into play. Just walk us through this entire race at all when it came to behind the wheel and what your thoughts were at the moment.
Yeah, you perfectly said the description of this entire race in like 10 seconds. You literally just said my entire interview in like 10 seconds. But nah. It was an absolute roller coaster today. I was, going into this race, I was not confident at all in Chicagoland. To be honest with you, it has not been a really good track to me. Couple weeks ago when C-Fix ran here, unfortunately we lost over 200 I ratings, so that pretty much goes to show you how Chicagoland treats me. But yeah, I was pretty hesitant about qualifying. I honestly thought I was somewhere around the 30 flat range. If I probably would have qualified, I probably would have been somewhere mid pack. But yeah, had to, I'm just still trying to get my learning experience. I'm still, like I said, I'm still new to this whole thing. Unfortunately, we also got into a little bit of a feud with the four of Jonathan G. Jones. But I do take full responsibility for what happened. Apparently, and this is, I mean, the bump in the I don't know if I don't know if you guys noticed, but the bump in turns 3 and 4, it's just it's not good, not good at all. And unfortunately, I tried to make a pass on the bottom. I ended up getting tight, and both ended up hitting one time, I think. Then I absolutely lost it on the radio. Then probably shouldn't have done that, but I did take full responsibility for that. So hopefully we're cool about that. But the rest of the race, it's pretty solid. I would have to say we definitely had, I was, coming in, I wasn't confident in our speed, but as the race kept progressing, as the laps kept ticking, I started to become more comfortable inside the car. So that's probably why I was, taking these chances on making some good passes. I was actually lifting early on in the race, but as the race kept going, I noticed Parker, he was mostly going full throttle. So I said to myself, if that's what I have to do, then that's what I got to do. So I started going full throttle, and then all of us, and then we start driving. Then we start driving up towards the front. Could have been there at the end. I wish I probably could have played the strategy just a little bit better. I knew we weren't going to make it on fuel. I know that for a fact. I kind of wish that I could have played the strategy just a little bit better, but another top 5. Even though it wasn't the best top 5 I probably would have hoped for. I wish there could have been a little bit of a late race drama. Hopefully we would have tried something there at the end. But overall, solid race, and hopefully, going into next week with the Roval, I've had some pretty good races over there with the ARCA cars. So hopefully another road course, which I'm always excited about road course racing. So we'll head on to the Roval, and just try to make another last minute impression before the season ends.
And you mentioned the strategy, and I know that was pretty much, I believe, on everybody's mind, including ours, because we were pretty much dumbfounded on how the strategy was going to work, because everybody had pitted around lap 30 to 35 range. Then it was like, if they went green all the way through, they weren't going to make it. They were going to be short on fuel. Caution comes out, gives the chance for some drivers to top off, including yourself. And then it starts to spiral in the same direction as it did when we dropped the green flag, where we had the strategy once again, and then it was just down to whether you could pit at the right time, stay out, and just try to save enough fuel. Was the case for Nick Miller. But for you, at least, and I know that you were in the group with Cole Williams, McKinney, White, Bundren, etc. How was that working? Because I'm sure your mind was hard at work, knowing, or just trying to figure out the strategy in its entirety, knowing how short the fuel run was and how close it was to the race end at lap number 100.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about 4 tires, but then I started second guessing myself, like maybe I should go 2, and just put enough fuel in just to have it on low fuel, and that way I'll also have fresh rubber, and I'll be able to actually hopefully gain some of that lost time. But I honestly wasn't expecting the top 2 guys in Nick, and I wasn't expecting Nick to honestly literally clutch and coast, which that was I wasn't expecting that at all, to be honest with you. I thought they were going to be short. I was really banking on the fact that they were going to be short. I was actually also banking on for another caution, to be quite honest with you. But I'm sorry about that. I just got a super chat notification.
And then he was yelling at me for trying to pass him back because he had too much on the line.
Okay,
What the heck?
Oh shit! Did it kick me?
Oh man.
Oh,
well,
no, you're good.
Okay.
No, you're good. You're still here. Don't worry.
What was? Okay. Well, um, but yeah, I was originally going to think about. I was originally thinking 4 tires, but I probably should have done 2 instead. I mean, I probably would have gained a couple more spots there at the end, but um, I was just going with what my gut felt like at that point. Like I didn't care about what the other guys were doing. I mean, once I saw other drivers pitting, like what, I said to myself, it's like, what, I might as well go ahead and pit. So we did that, and just to make sure we have enough fuel. I was really hoping for only caution, to be quite frank with you, but we got lucky that other drivers had to pit in the end. So yeah, solid result at the end. So there's that.
A very solid result for you, nonetheless, Brandon, for your 5th place finish. Obviously, Blaze coming in a little bit there, I guess, to kind of be there on pit road. And, of course, obviously, apologies for the language there. But and for the people you want to thank here, I know there's a good amount of people, and you read a very long list, and you have a lot of people you got to thank at Talladega. Which people do you got to thank for tonight's performance here from Chicagoland at a 5th place finish?
Like I said, I gotta thank Joseph, Matt McGrath. I also can't thank Mikey Corbin. I can't thank them for getting me into iRacing, and all that. Also can't thank my good buddy or I guess I said my good friend Tiffany Fisher, artist, for helping me with the OCs and helping me design the car. Really awesome. Also can't thank all my channel members, including Bush Brothers Fan, who just so happened to just become a new channel member tonight. So I really do appreciate that. But obviously I can't thank, and obviously this is a really huge deal. I obviously can't thank Angry Birds enough for their continued support, and it's been quite the week. It's been quite the past few days. For me and Angry Birds. Most recently, they featured me on their YouTube channel. Over nearly 4.5 million subscribers, which is a very, very, very massive deal. And with the fan of the month, and obviously I can't thank them enough for believing in me, what I do for the community, and inspired me to make this special paint scheme that I'll be running in all my budget starts this month. So obviously I can't thank them enough for their continued support. Rovio, XR Games. Also can't thank who else am I forgetting? Can't thank Swell Carbon, Tango Wolf 09, and Day 500 Champ 15 for not only their continued support of my YouTube channel, and as well mostly to all my channel members, and also everybody in the Discord server, and especially to all my YouTube fans. Really does mean a lot. And yeah, we'll move on to the Charlotte Roval. I'm obviously excited for another road course race, and hopefully we'll have another good run there.
Well, we certainly wish you the best of luck, Brandon, and of course we appreciate your time here joining us on this interview for your 5th place finish and your best career finish. And also on a separate note, obviously congratulations for the Fan of the Month and Rovio and Angry Birds. I remember watching that video, and there was a little clip of the Bundren Lawn Care Series at the Daytona Road Course, the last road course.
Yeah, gotta show Bundren some love, man.
All right, well, Brandon, we certainly thank you for joining us, and we of course congratulate you on your 5th place finish here and your best career finish, tying once again here from Chicagoland. We thank you so much, and of course we wish you the best of luck now going to the rest of the season.
Thank you guys so much.
That's Brandon Paunetto finishing 5th here from the Chicagoland Speedway. We'll step into our final interview to the night. It'll be 14th place driver Riley Marabello, not for his finish, but it will be for his points paying finish. Actually, no, I don't believe he's in any of the Discord calls, so I don't believe we can get him in. He was there a little bit earlier, but unfortunately, I don't believe we'll be able to catch up with him in time. But there still will be some things to talk about, and that will include the point standings. We have official word about the 10 drivers that will make it in to the Bundren Lawn Care Series playoffs. Here they are in order. Blaze McKinney will be your regular season champion after tonight's conclusion from Chicagoland. He will be the points leader going into the first round at Charlotte Roval next week. Aiden Kirker loses that one spot. He'll be second in point standings with Parker White third, Nick Miller fourth, Glenn Bundren will be in this top 5. Shane Mantova, Jonathan Jones, Cole Williams, Brady Wallerman, and Riley Marabello will be the final drivers. 10 of them all making it in, and they all have a shot at the Charlotte Roval with a chance at a Bundren Lawn Care Series title. Did not change for the cutoff, so practically everyone stays the same apart from some change of positions through that top 10, but nonetheless, that is your final order going into the playoffs. Charlie, back up into the booth recapping this, and now looking at our 10-car grid for the playoffs. Charlotte Roval, tricky track. What's going to be the mindset now? What's going to be the expectation for all these drivers to set their playoffs off the right way?
Well, I am nothing but excited. We saw how exciting last season's playoffs was. A lot of the guys fighting for every position, and with this playoff format, it just makes the racing so much more exciting. So I'm nothing but exciting. We're going to a lot of different kinds of racetracks that will really test the skill of these drivers, including road courses, short tracks, super speedways, 1.5 milers, 2 milers. They have it all. So I think that, it's really going to be an exciting one this season. The competition's high, and I'm really interested to see who from last season is going to be able to take their run to the championship for as well. And, we saw Blaze McKinney, Parker White, Nick Miller, Glenn Bundren, those guys. I'm interested to see how many of those guys go there for the second season in a row.
And a very, very good point. All 4 of the championship drivers from last season have a spot in the Bundren Lawn Care Series playoffs this season. Blaze McKinney, defending champion. Parker White comes back. Nick Miller comes back. Glenn Bundren comes back. And they're all back. Pretty much all 4 of them are back into the playoffs this season. They all have a shot to get another round into the championship 4, whether it be McKinney running for a second title in a row or be for anyone else looking for their first. Well, this pretty much caps off the broadcast here for the Bundren Lawn Care Series, right from the Chicagoland Speedway for race number 9 of the Season 3 campaign. If you're looking for more action on the KBueno Racing Network, boy, we have a lot to cover, and that will start tomorrow at 8:45 p.m. Eastern with the A&B Outdoors Quick Time Sprint Car Series as they go live for the second night of the Knoxville Nationals presented by Dirtman Photography. I'll be on the call alongside, I believe, Keelan Belsha, but we'll try to get that figured out. We'll have updates for you on our socials at KBRN Network on Twitter and KBueno Racing Network on Instagram. And of course, we'll cycle it back around once more for Sunday Night NASCAR from the Texas Motor Speedway, their second to final race of the season and their final race of the round of 8. That coverage begins at about 8:20 p.m. Eastern. And then back around for Monday night, and we'll cycle to the first round of the iRacing Bundren Lawn Care Series playoffs, 8:25 p.m. Eastern from the Charlotte Roval, one of the trickiest tracks in all of racing. And that will be the continuation of the playoffs and will continue every Monday night. Of course, all of those races can be found right here on the KBueno Racing Network. Well, that caps it off for us here on our coverage from Chicagoland Speedway. So for everyone at the iRacing Bundren Lawn Care Series, for Glenn Bundren, owner himself, for admin Shane Mantova, Blaze McKinney, and all of the guys who make things happen each and every week, and from all of us at the KBueno Racing Network, for Francisco Bacalhau and my colleague in the booth, Charlie Baier, my name is Kenneth Bueno, saying good night from the Windy City. We'll catch you at the Roval for some playoff action.